This episode is brought to you by SkySilk. If you're looking for an affordable and reliable cloud provider for your website, SkySilk is the answer for you. The intuitive dashboard interface allows you to quickly deploy one of the many built-in templates in just a few clicks, or directly upload your custom ISO. It doesn't matter if you're a senior developer with hundreds of websites or a student looking to experiment with your first cloud server, SkySilk can accommodate all your needs with powerful machines starting at just $5 per month. SkySilk also comes with many other perks, like a convenient reward system where you can redeem Sky Points to pay for your VPS, an ever-growing Discord community, and lightning-fast customer support. Click the link in the description below and use the promo code ALEC@SkySilk to get 25% off of your personal cloud VPS. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Nerd Continuity, where we talk about design, development, and all the other crazy stuff we find online. I'm your host, Alex, and with me, as usual, my beautiful co-host, Chris Perko. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hey.
We're back finally.
Oh yeah, we're alive. We are super excited to be back. It's been probably a year since the last episodes, but hey,
it's been a long time.
Yeah, we've been busy with stuff and life. And how's it going with you? How's it going with your work?
It's been good. It's been really busy. I think that with everything being shut down, we're actually more busy than we were before.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you.
You know, we work in the medical space, so we're finally launching our product, and all the clinics that are wanting to use it are all about to reopen. So it's kind of it's been a busy time. How's everything been at Mozilla?
Oh, crazy as well, of course, because yeah, with everything that's going on now, all the people that used to have like a tech support at their offices, or like a sysadmin managing their email clients, their IMAP has like all the protocols for them and the Exchange server at work. Now they all downloaded Thunderbird at home, and all the problems that came out with that. It's been a beautiful couple of months, very challenging, and we are in the process of releasing the next long-term support release, which is going to be 78, and we're doing a lot of very important substantial updates. Like we're implementing the OpenPGP protocol for encryption of emails. We're restructuring the calendar. I'm updating the UI a lot, like doing drastic changes. So it's been a couple of crazy months, but nothing to complain. It could be worse. So it's challenging and satisfying. What's your role? I don't remember anymore about the things that you do. What's your role? What do you do? What type of technologies do you use at the university?
So my title is lead software engineer, which is kind of a funny title because I don't actually have a team. It's really me. The only people that I work with that work for the university is myself and a QA engineer who. She is great at testing. She finds the tiniest things and drives me crazy, but without her, I wouldn't have the confidence that I do in the app. And we have one other developer that's a consultant that works outside the university, and we work closely together. But yeah, so my title is kind of funny. So we work mostly with .NET Core and Angular on the front end. We work with AWS a lot, and that's kind of the core of our application that we're building right now. But I'm looking to transition sometime, probably fairly soon. There's another team that's working on some AI stuff, some machine learning, and I've never worked in that. So it'll be kind of a interesting, cool new venture.
Yeah. Are you still working, or at least on as side projects, like using Laravel at all, or just now you're back to .NET full time?
I haven't touched Laravel in a long time.
Yeah.
I do have one side project that I've worked on for a client of mine, and I kind of maintain it, but that's been kind of put on hold because he is a structural engineer down in Puerto Rico, and with all the things that they've had over the last year or two with hurricanes and earthquakes and everything, he's been too busy to kind of focus on his side projects. So, definitely planning to go back to it at some point, but for right now, I've not been touching Laravel.
Yeah, me neither. And I just noticed the other day, I was curious, like, which version is Laravel right now? It's version
Hmm.
7. It's the last time I used it was a year ago, and it was a version 5.1, 5.2.
Hmm.
And in a year, it just jumped to version 7. It's just, yeah, the amount of updates and changes, it's kind of crazy. It's hard to keep up. But
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
I'm thinking to jump back on the series of tutorial and pick it up again, at least for a personal project, because right now I don't
Hmm.
have any work related things that involve the use of the PHP framework. So yeah, it's I
Yeah.
haven't been using it in more than a year now as well, but I'm curious to see all the updates.
Yeah.
um, Moving on, let's talk about some personal highlight and some personal projects related
Sure.
to work or side projects. Just one thing related to Thunderbird that I wanted to highlight is that we're doing a virtual summit. We were supposed to do a summit in Barcelona right at this time, but of course, with everything that happened, it was canceled. But we decided to do it virtually and release and do just some live streaming, live presentations once a week or twice a week, just to span it throughout a month or two, not to cramp an entire week with just virtual summit presentation. That would have been pretty crazy. And I did my first presentation last week. I talked about the current status of the UI of Thunderbird and the work that we're doing as designers and developers to update the UI and why we're changing things. Because since I started working at Thunderbird, the main complaint that I get, and sometimes I even get direct emails where I get insulted because they think I don't know anything and I'm just a stupid kid, which is great because I'm 35. I love being called a kid still, but it's fine.
Right. I
But the
have seen
main,
some of your tweets on your user
yeah,
responses. It's been interesting.
yeah, it's so entertaining working for this open source project. But the main complaint that I get is, or the main question is, why are you changing things? So in these presentations, I'm explaining why the technology underneath Thunderbird is changing. We cannot support the
Hmm.
things that we were supporting before. We cannot expect, even in terms of UI, before the simple example that I give, uh, up until like 10 years ago, Thunderbird had these very polished UI for the three platforms, for macOS, Linux, and Windows. And each of these platforms had their own preset type of icons. We had one single type of icons, one for macOS, one for Windows, and one for Linux. Today, it's basically impossible because the icons, some users still use Windows 7, or some users still use the 32 64-bit of Windows. Some users have the new Windows 10 UI. macOS, every time they release a new version, the icons and the UI change drastically. Let's not talk about Linux because every desktop or desktop environment, they come with their own icon set. So creating a set of icon that looks native in every scenario, it's impossible. That's why we're
Yeah.
transitioning to SVG icons, line icons that are easier and they're globally usable. It's easier for us
Hmm.
to manage, but you wouldn't believe how people are so pissed about this
Yeah.
change and they're upset beyond understanding. I'm trying to ask them, like, why you're so upset. And because it looks awful, and it's beautiful when I receive messages from user that they say that the peak of Thunderbird UI was during Windows XP, and I just, okay. So there's nothing to talk about that. But yeah, I'm gonna share the link in the description of this episode. But if you wanna join and check the virtual summit, I'm gonna have another presentation later next week where I talk about the
Oh,
importance of
awesome.
white spaces and why separations of elements and text is important for readability and accessibility. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's gonna be interesting.
Cool. So how was it presenting at a summit like this?
It was okay. It was like doing a live streaming because it was in front of a computer, so it wasn't much of a difference. I would have preferred to do it in front of a big audience because I never did a presentation in front of on a stage with a big audience. The maximum amount of people that I presented to were probably like 100 or something. So
Okay.
I was very excited about the real summit. But yeah, no, this presentation was good, and I had good questions. And
Hmm.
it seems that a lot of people that I had doubts on my proposed changes in terms of UI at the end of the presentation understood and started to understanding the reasoning, the technical reasons, and all the motivations behind those changes. So it was very productive. I liked it. It should be actually on YouTube later next week because it was recorded. So I'm gonna
Okay.
reshare it, and everyone can watch my beautiful, beautiful
Nice.
presentation. Thank you.
Well, that's awesome.
What about you? I'm reading here the NG Conference 2020. What is that?
Yeah, so that is like the big Angular conference, and I've wanted to go for a long time, but it's kind of hard to get your company to pay for you to go to a conference that is specific to only one technology, especially when you use, like millions of different technologies every day.
Yeah.
But this year, because of the virus and everything, it
Yeah.
was virtual, and they slashed the prices. So registration was like $250.
Mm,
So I'm like, hey, I don't need to fly to Salt Lake City. I don't have to pay for a hotel or
yeah.
food or anything. So took a couple days and just streamed the conference on my couch with my dogs, and it was a lot of fun. The community was awesome. There was a live chat with all the presentations, and everybody was very, constructive, and there wasn't anybody like getting banned all the time like
Oh,
you see
no.
like on YouTube or anything.
Yeah.
Um, so overall, it was a really good virtual conference.
Hmm.
I learned a lot about some different parts of Angular that I've never used, like they have the ability to, if you want to make like a true static site where everything's just a bunch of HTML files,
Mm.
you can have it automatically generate all these different HTML files and then
Mm.
just upload them all to S3. And it's not even a spot at that point. It really is just kind of like an old style, like click through different pages and it, generates it all for you.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, so it was a pretty cool conference. There were some talks that I wasn't able to watch, and I've been meaning to watch the recordings, but still had to do some work things at the same time. But yeah, it was a pretty cool conference, and I'm hoping next year to attend in person if
Mm.
if we are doing that then.
Yeah.
But if not, I think virtual conferences are a great way um, to include people that couldn't afford to travel to conferences before.
Hmm.
It's a great way to kind of include a lot of people, and also it makes it more international. It costs a lot of money to fly around the world to go to
Yeah.
a conference, and now you can just log in and stream it.
Yeah, it's definitely more accessible in this way. I wonder if in the future they will do like both, that if you want to
Hmm.
virtually attend, you can, and you can just watch some of those presentations. But if you want to stay and attend in person, you can pay more and go there, because that will kind of remove the exclusivity of this conference,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
at least it's more accessible for a lot of people.
sure. And I mean, you guess you miss out on some of like the social things,
Oh
like
yeah.
going and drinking beer with some of these speakers and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was great. I didn't have to leave home or anything.
Yeah. And did you miss all the t-shirts and stickers and USB keys and all the other things that you
Yes.
get?
Oh yeah, I know. Like I think the last tech conference I went to was Laracon in Chicago a couple
Hmm.
years ago, and the amount of swag that I came home with was ridiculous. Like I still have like five different T-shirts that I wear regularly from
Oh, nice.
different vendors and stuff.
Yeah, that's why you go there, to redo your wardrobe, to update
Yeah,
your
exactly.
style. That's the
Yeah,
main
yeah.
purpose.
Have old clothes, go to a conference.
Exactly. What's the current status of Angular? Because I stopped using
Mhm.
Angular probably like 4 or 5 years ago. You said you use it like daily for your work now for the front
Mhm.
end. What's the current status of Angular compare, especially because you use also Vue.js and React, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so my React experience is very limited. I've gone through some tutorials here and
Hmm.
there, but I just can't get over JSX.
Oh my
I just
god.
hate that syntax.
Yeah.
Um, so Angular to me, it's very opinionated.
Mm.
It's extremely opinionated. You kind of have to do it the way. that it's meant to be done. I feel like React and Vue to some extent, you can kind of hack it. It's a lot of just plain JavaScript with some stuff on top of it.
Hmm.
But Angular is extremely opinionated, which I actually like because I can grab a open source Angular project and know exactly where everything's at and kind of figure out how it flows.
Oh.
But yeah, we're on version 9 now. They just released version 9, which has the new Ivy compiler, and it compiles your code a whole lot faster. The bundle size is a lot smaller, it's really cool.
Interesting. Would you, if you had to start a project from scratch, like a personal project, would you go with Vue.js or Angular? Which one would you prefer?
I would go with Angular. I'm really enjoying it right now. One thing that worries me about Vue is Vue 1 to Vue 2 was like major change.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been out of the Vue game for a little bit, but I understand that Vue 3 is also going to be like a whole nother huge change.
Yeah.
So it kind of scares me to build something in an ecosystem that could completely change so much that you're going to have to rewrite the app or just kind of stick to deprecated code. Angular has been surprisingly very consistent in their updates.
Yeah.
When I started at Emory, I believe we were on Angular 6. And so I did the upgrades to 7 to 8 and then most recently to 9. And they've all been very easy, like half an hour to an hour. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to figure out what's deprecated and fix things. And so that's what just kind of scares me about Vue.
Yeah. I think it's common for a new or like a young type of framework, because I remember Angular from version 1 to version 2 and then subsequential from 2 to 3 was a complete rework. It wasn't even upgradable. You had to restart from scratch. And there are unfortunately, I know a lot of people are still stuck on Angular 1.6 something because it's the is the latest supported release of Angular 1. They cannot upgrade unless they rebuild everything from scratch. And probably Vue is the same. Also React, if I'm not wrong, at the beginning it was completely different and it was reworked a lot, especially the routers part. So I wonder if Vue.js after this next big release is gonna stabilize a little bit and do some more conscious updates without rebuilding the framework completely from scratch or rethinking about the architecture for every new release.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
because I do really like Vue. I like the way it's written.
Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of Angular in a way where everything's separated still with your JavaScript and your HTML, and and I feel like it's really an easy framework to kind of pick up and run with.
Yeah, indeed. I will check it out. I was curious. I thought Angular was kind of like dead. Instead, it seems that it's still strong.
It's very popular in enterprise,
like
big enterprise applications. And I think because TypeScript is kind of a first-class citizen, it works really well with .NET, which is, of course, big enterprise. And so I think it's, you don't see it a whole lot in the open source or like Twitter, like everybody's talking about, React this, React that.
Yeah.
But if you start looking at jobs at like bigger companies, like it's a lot of it is Angular.
Interesting. Okay. I will keep an eye open for that.
Yeah.
On a personal note, in a couple of weeks is going to be my birthday. I'm going to turn 35 and I'm thinking to...
Congratulations.
Yeah. Fun. But I'm thinking because there's no travel expense in my near future here, I'm thinking to just... buy a new computer, and I was thinking to go with the System 76 Thelio, and because they just released the new AMD base with PCIe 4 version, and it's so good. It's very fast, and I did a test configuration the other day. It's gonna probably be around $3,000, but is a... What is that? Is a 12 core? No, it's something like stupid amount of cores and a stupid amount of threads, and compiles at the speed of light. And I'm trying to find reasons not to buy it, but it's hard because right now
you could spend $53,000 on a Mac Pro, right?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely, and have the same performance of the computer that I have right now, and be stuck with this proprietary thing. But no, my thing is that right now I'm using, especially the desktop, I'm using my custom computer that I built 2 or 3 years ago, and I have an i7 7700, which is 4 cores, 8 threads, and compiles Thunderbird like from scratch. It takes around half an hour to compile it.
Wow.
After it compiled the first time, whenever I need to update something and I change it, takes 10 to 15 seconds, which is fine.
Okay.
The problem is
Yeah.
that every day there's a new batch of updates, a new rework of Firefox, which Thunderbird is based on Firefox. So every day there's a new rebuild. So my morning routine is wake up, turn on the computer, download the new code, push compile, and go out for a walk with the dog.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes if I come back and there was an issue in the building process or there was a bug and it didn't finish compiling, then I basically waste another hour in the morning waiting for it to finish to compile before I can start working. Instead, with the new AMD Ryzen, the third generation, the Ryzen 9 3950X, I will have 16 cores and 32 threads.
Wow.
And I have a colleague that has it and compiles Thunderbird in 6 minutes, which is
Wow, that's a huge improvement.
brutal. Yeah, I'm just itching to buy it. So I think I'm gonna do it. It's the budget for a year of travel. So yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it. But yeah, if I get it, I'm gonna do like a full review of everything. I'm gonna dismantle it and just want to understand everything what they did inside.
Yeah, I mean that's what's great about System 76, right? Is you can always upgrade it later. You're not stuck with what they give you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fully open source. They have all the schematics are open source, so I can also potentially 3D print the things that I need if I want to extend or changes, which I'm considering it. But yeah, so that's something, and it's gonna happen probably in the next couple of weeks. We'll get back to that if I do that. That's gonna be insane.
Well, that's exciting. That's gonna be really cool.
Yeah. So I remember you were building a custom project related to WordPress, the WPS UI or the Customizer UI, right?
Yeah.
How's it going with
Yeah. So I started building it, I guess late last summer or early fall. I got like the basic idea working, and a few things happened which stopped the project.
Yeah.
Got super busy with like some client work. We were kind of in the process of buying a house and trying to sell our house in San Antonio, and I was trying to work extra to make enough money to make sure we could do everything and buy the house and everything. So I got busy with that, and then also I wanted to release like an early version to the WordPress plugin directory, so people didn't have to like go and download the package and upload it to their WordPress site. And I just got so discouraged by like the comments I was getting back from the WordPress, I guess admins or whatever you call them,
the reviewers or something.
Yeah. Because so I modeled the plugin based off your plugin series using object-oriented programming with namespaces and everything. And they're saying things like, "Well, this class name is not unique," and I'm like, "Well, it's namespaced," and things like that were just kind of going back and forth. And just kind of the wording that they put into their emails to me was just very discouraging. And I was just like, screw this, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I remember that they didn't like the fact that you were using Composer as well, right? They don't accept it.
Yeah, which that makes sense that it does need to be kind of bundled up. But I just thought, like, for the review, like, can you at least tell me if the code is fine? Yeah. So more recently, I got some more free time and I started working on it again. I did a big major refactor, and I think it's going to make things a lot easier. Some of the requests that I have going forward from our number one fan, Lawrence.
Oh, yeah.
He's done a lot of testing on it, and he really enjoys it. So getting really close to the version 1.0 release. I've got a couple more issues to work out before that's ready, and then we'll see what WordPress says about it.
Yeah. What were the major changes that you had to go through to make it WordPress compliant?
Well, one of the things was I wasn't properly sanitizing input.
Okay.
So that was, I do need to do that. So I've already taken care of that. And then I know one of the things was like the class names and stuff. So I did make the namespaces more unique.
Hmm.
I think that starts with like Perco Customizer instead of WPCUI.
Yeah.
So I've done some things like that, and we'll see what I get back this time. If they complain about class names again,
Fuck
I
that.
don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's something that I always struggle with WordPress. Like the underlying architecture is very PHP 4 oriented,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
it's kind of a struggle because I understand that you keep it backward compatible with pretty much anything with version like 3 or something, but
hmm,
it's way too much work to achieve something that then we can achieve for less time with modern technologies, and not even that
yeah,
modern. Like if WordPress was able to enable Composer out of the box, or having a general Composer sitting on top outside
hmm,
the overall themes and plugins, we can use the same Composer to download packages and manage external packages. That would have been extremely easy to implement. And also having one single composer that manages everything, that means you don't have problem with unique namespaces, because right now if you're
yeah,
using old functions, of course it's not object-oriented programming, you just have to use unique functions name to prevent duplications or using the same
hmm,
name, which is it's just tedious most of the times. It's very
yeah. It
annoying.
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's WordPress.
Yeah, that's WordPress. Yeah, it's and the last 2 or 3 releases of WordPress were only 100% focused on Gutenberg, on that
Yeah.
fucking editor. Nothing else changed. They completely forgot about everything else. No updates on widgets, no updates on the Walker Nav class, no updates on the settings API, nothing. Just the fucking the fucking Gutenberg, which is very, very strange. It seems like
Yeah.
they're trying to appeal more to regular users, that they need to use the website as it is. You just install WordPress, you use it, and that's it. Then updating the underlying architecture to enable developers to do
Hmm.
more, which is kind of strange.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I'll get it released in the next couple weeks,
Yeah.
or at least submitted in the next couple weeks. I don't know how long it'll take them to review it. And then, depending on how well it does, I do have some additional things that are going to go into this plugin to really make it really useful. But I do want to do like a pro version.
Mm.
So, in the free one that you would download from the plugin store, it will include all the customizer controls that you can do through WordPress standard. Like if you look at the codex and you want to do a color control, it'll have that in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have some ideas for more complex controls that I want to add to like a pro version.
Mm.
So hopefully we'll see a pro version come out sometime later this
Nice.
year, and it'll be a fun project.
Yeah, no, looking forward to that. Awesome. Okay, let's jump onto the news, because we went through all our personal highlights. The first news, you put these here. Do you wanna take
Mhm.
it?
So in Tailwind 1.4, do you use Tailwind at all anymore? Or?
Yes, for personal projects and for my personal websites, or whenever for Sabrina's,
Mhm.
like my wife's website, I use Tailwind. I just love it so much.
Yeah, it's an awesome CSS framework,
Yeah,
and they have now baked in Purge CSS.
nice.
So you can just kind of put in your config file, like what files, where your HTML files are, or whatever files are going to contain Tailwind classes. And when you build for production, it'll automatically strip out all the classes that you aren't using in your final CSS file.
That's so good.
So it makes it so much smaller because Tailwind, and when you just run your Tailwind config, it creates a massive CSS file,
Hmm.
and you're not going to use all the colors, all the font
Yeah.
sizes, and so this makes it a lot easier than having to install Purge CSS and set it up yourself. You just
Hmm.
set it up in your Tailwind config and run your production build, and away you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I was struggling with this, especially with the Vue.js frontend, because all the class, like the way that Purge CSS works, it just goes through your statically generated files, or all the files that you have in your project, and detects
Mm-hmm.
which classes you're not using and deletes them. But if those classes are dynamically generated via JavaScript in Vue.js, and you don't have a static HTML or PHP file with those classes written, Purge CSS just deletes them. So I was having some very annoying issues, and at the end, what I was doing, basically, I was doing a global research with my code editor for all the classes that I had. And if I didn't use one, I was commenting in the config file the
Mm.
margin 10 or the, I don't know, medium or large media queries. Just I was manually checking what Purge CSS needed to do. Tedious as hell. It's unbelievable. But yeah, this is great. Did you try it already?
I'm about to. I'm working on building my. I'm rebuilding my website as a static Angular
Mm-hmm.
spa, and I'm using Tailwind. I think I'm still on 1.3, so I do plan to upgrade once I'm fully done and run through this and see how it works, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll report back.
Nice. Yeah, it seems that it will be able to detect also classes inside JavaScript generated files like JSX templates and Vue.js templates, which was one of the major pain points of
Yeah.
using Purge CSS through another external npm package, or even inside Laravel Mix. I was having the same issues with Laravel
Hmm.
Mix. It wasn't able to detect classes dynamically used inside JavaScript, so which is great.
Right. Yeah.
Related to Tailwind, they're hiring, which is unbelievable. I still remember like 2 or 3 years ago when Adam, the creator of Tailwind, just released the first like beta version. I was like, oh, this is a
Hmm.
personal project that I was thinking to do. And it evolved so much and so fast, and now it's a fully formed company, and they're
Yeah.
hiring full times, and they do a lot of awesome things. They produce commercial products with Tailwind UI. They release a book called Refactoring UI, which is very, very good. And now they're looking for a full stack developer. So if you're a full stack developer that worked with React or Vue.js and knows a little bit of Laravel and you love beautiful UI, just apply. They pay a lot of money.
They do.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it was like 4 weeks off a year as well, so
yeah,
it's good benefits.
it's
I think
amazing.
that they were preferring Eastern Standard Time, or at least some amount of overlap with like Adam, because he's on Eastern Standard.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I think if you are like in Europe and you're okay with working like really early in the morning,
Yeah.
it might be fine. But yeah, I think that's going to be an awesome position for whoever gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very happy for him and for the team, because they're really great guys, and they've been building these open source projects and releasing them for free for everyone to use, and they
Hmm.
really deserve this. It's very good. Moving on, following a crazy story that we both saw. It's not really a story, it's something that happened on Twitter. Oh, Twitter, so amusing. But so this morning, I saw a tweet by Evan Yu that was answering to a guy, and the tweet was simply, I read, "How about you say something publicly?" I was curious about this tweet, so I started reading the full thread, and basically the gist of it is that this guy, Jamie Kyle, started tweeting about Vue.js being accused of stealing code, literally like copy pasting code from other frameworks or other application and applying them into Vue.js. And he also shares some screenshots of private conversation of people telling them, yeah, I know Evan personally, he stole these, and there was canceled, there was erased, there was a blank space to not share the name of all the things that he allegedly stole. He just literally copy paste my code from this section to this other section, blah blah. And Evan answers like, can you tell me what those sections are? Can you give me the examples? I'm ready to defend myself and to defend the work that we did, and I'm ready to do it publicly. and this guy deleted hits all the tweets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like, I'm sure we all take ideas from each other, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Laravel took a lot of ideas from .NET
Hmm.
and C Sharp Blade and things like that. I mean, it's just, we're all just trying to take something and make it better. And I remember when I first started learning Vue, it was kind of when I was still working on Angular JS, hadn't switched to Angular like 2 plus.
Yeah.
And Evan Yu was a Google developer on the Angular JS team.
Yeah.
And when they switched to version 2, he didn't like the direction it was going. And I remember reading him saying that he built Vue.js to be what he wanted Angular to kind of become.
Yeah.
So to go from like that to like just copying and pasting code from other projects, it just seems like a big leap.
Yeah, exactly. It speaks a lot the fact that this guy completely deleted all the tweets. I was like, when
Yeah.
I was reading it this morning, I literally thought like, oh, I need to take screenshots because these things will go away. And in fact, a few minutes later, he deleted everything. And
Mhm.
I loved the response of Evan. That was like very candid and very open. It's just, if you have something, just tell me what it is and we can discuss
Right.
it. And this guy was like, no, let's do it privately. And he was like, no, you accused me publicly. Let's continue talking publicly. let's highlight all the things that you think I stole. And then it just went to shit.
Yeah, and Evan also had a lot of proof of things like, I mean, you can look here in this version, I have commits on things
Hmm.
that, the other product didn't have for a whole year.
Yeah.
So, it's like impossible to copy and
Hmm.
uh, good old Twitter fights.
Yeah. It's,
Next topic we have is about GitHub code spaces.
oh, I have no
This came
idea what
out.
that is.
So it's pretty cool. GitHub recently had like a virtual conference, and I didn't take part, but I did see this kind of getting thrown all over Twitter. And
Mm.
it's basically like a virtual cloud-based development environment.
Mm.
So you can go to a GitHub repository, and let's say it's a Vue.js repository, and you can open it up in an online editor that is, I believe it's powered by VS Code. It's like an online VS Code version,
Oh.
kind of like Code Sandbox. But you can basically code on this open source repository, and you can contribute without ever having to download the code, get Node.js set up, get anything set up. So, I mean, essentially, if it's as good as they're saying it's going to be, you could just go buy a Chromebook
Yeah.
and go contribute to open source projects on GitHub without needing anything except a web browser.
Yeah. It's like Cloud9 seems before it
Yeah,
was
yeah, I
bought.
think yeah, like AWS, and they didn't really do
Yeah.
anything with it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I did like Cloud9 back in the day. The editor, it had some problems. The
Yeah.
keyboard shortcuts were really weird to work with, and I don't know how many times I hit F5 and refresh the page.
Yeah.
Um, so, using VS Code in the browser, if it's like Code Sandbox, but really built in with GitHub, and
Mm.
it'll be interesting to see how it works. And they have like an early access right now, so I imagine this is going to be a paid service.
Yeah, probably.
Um, I imagine it's going to require cloud functions and cloud computers. So
Hmm.
it'll be really interesting to see if it's really good, or if it's just going to be another one of these just online IDEs.
Yeah, something for quick peer programming, like remote peer programming. But
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, and it doesn't seem to say here, but I wonder if they will implement something like, because the good thing about Cloud9, especially for WordPress projects, was the ability to compile in the cloud and see the actual website up and running in the cloud.
Yeah.
So you didn't need to
Mm-hmm.
download or compile, build anything. You were able to just do it entirely on your web browser. I wonder if these will do the same at some point, or is just gonna be edit your Git repository without downloading it.
Yeah, I imagine that they'll be able to run it. Because like Code Sandbox or I think Stack Blitz, they have like dependencies. Like it runs
Yeah.
like an npm install, and it loads the app. So
Hmm.
I imagine it'll do something like that. I hope that they do server side technologies. It'd be awesome if you could run WordPress on GitHub and
Yeah.
edit your theme or your plugin or whatever right there. And but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, it will happen for sure, because let's just wait for Microsoft to buy or purchase Composer, and
Yeah.
Packagist and WordPress, and then we're good because Microsoft bought GitHub and then npm, and now they're releasing these. So, yeah, it's gonna be one single giant thing handling everything together. So, would you trust these as a I don't know? You're working on a big project, and would you? I guess it's normal. Like we already have all our entire code repository on the cloud in the cloud, so we are
Hmm.
not worried about losing anything if we lose or destroy our computer. But would you trust working directly in the cloud, not having anything local?
That's a good question because I do like that. One of the great things about Git is that you have your own version of the repository on
Yeah.
your machine. So I can commit if I lose internet connection, I can still commit locally, and then
Mm-hmm.
when I'm back online, I can push things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I would fully trust this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, most of the time when I'm working, I'm on my desktop at home. So this may make it so that like, oh, the next time I need to buy a laptop, I don't have to spend money on a really good laptop. I can just buy something cheap that I can
Yeah.
use. And when traveling, I don't have to have the power to run all these things locally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if I would fully trust it. I mean, that is a really good point about not having it on your local machine at all.
Yeah, and also, and I know that highlights the fact that I'm a really bad developer, but sometimes I mess things up so much that my solution is delete the repository and clone it again. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's, yeah, if you really need to know Git properly in order to revert very bad changes or bad commits that you do that maybe break something. But we'll see. It's an interesting project. It's very interesting that I guess it's the trend. Everything it's going online. Everything it's a web app now. There's no
Right.
more native things because it's not necessary. Everything it's online. We're constantly connected, so it's good. Speaking about being online and constantly connected, I don't know if it's really related, but do you know Bodyworks? Have you ever used Bodyworks?
I've heard of it, but I've never worked with it.
Yeah, I love it. I use it for my personal project. I also used it when I was working at Ritual. Bodyworks is these continuous deployment platform, which has a free tier, which is amazing. Basically, you set up your pipeline when you push the code to your Git or GitLab repository, GitHub, Bitbucket, it connects to everything. It just runs your pipeline and deploys for you
Mhm.
via SSH or SFTP, whatever you want to do it. It's very handy. The people behind that, they just released these repman, which is repman.io. It's a private PHP package repository manager. It's basically Packagist, where all the composer packages are there. So when you run composer install blah blah package, that package comes from Packagist. But sometimes Packagist is slow as hell. I had so many issues
Yeah.
sometimes, especially when downloading Laravel. It was like, oh, you needed to do it 2 or 3 times for it to actually work. And if you're
Yeah.
through a VPN, you have a million different issues. And if you want a private package to manage but also allow your contributors or collaborators or colleagues to download it through Composer without giving them access to your private repository, you weren't able to do it. So this Repman kind of solves all the problems. It's basically a CDN that sits in between all your sources. You can have a
Mhm.
private package, a PHP package private in your GitHub repository, or one public in packages or somewhere else, even locally stored on your server in your office. And this Repman behaves like you were downloading directly from packages, from Composer install, blah, 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 whatever. So they say it speeds up downloads from packages by 80 to 90% thanks to the CDN, which is impressive as hell. And
That's really
also,
cool.
yeah, and also allows you to set up tokens, access tokens through API. So you can give temporary access to that specific private package to whoever you want. You have a dashboard that tells you how many times was downloaded, who downloaded it, and you can revoke permissions if you don't want it anymore. You can also self-host this thing, and they release it completely for free. And you can just download it. It's open source, and it's very crazy. It's something that it's so cool, and I'm very itching to use it for some project.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, especially if you build a lot of PHP software and you have your own packages that you want to just kind of self-host for all of your projects. Just have your own version, and you can just pull them down whenever you need them on a new project.
Yeah, exactly. And we're already good to go when Microsoft decides to buy packages and Composer with people. We already have an alternative that you can self-host your server and be free. From this monolith that is buying everything. I think we are at the end of the news. As usual, unfortunately for these weird times, there are not many web technology related news. It's kind of hard to find something newsworthy, but hey, we found some good topics here. So at the end, before concluding this beautiful episode, we wanted to recommend a couple of things for you to enjoy when you're home. I saw you put here a couple of free conferences. What are those?
Yeah, so Microsoft Build is a huge conference every year. I've never been able to attend, but it's one of those that is kind of like on my radar. Is one year I'm going to go to Build. This year, they've made it completely free. It's going to be May 19th and 20th, and registration is still open. So you can go sign up for free, watch these conference talks. I believe there's lots of different tracks that you can join and kind of watch. So yeah, I'm amazed that they're doing it completely for free. Because I'm sure that streaming to the thousands of people that are going to tune into this is going to be quite a bit of cost, but I guess they'll just have Azure pay for it.
Let's see if Azure can handle that and not crash it.
And then on May 28th, we also have DockerCon, which is going to be completely free. So I haven't really done much with Docker. I've started playing around with it. I've just not had a need for it yet. But this will be a great way to learn about it and just sit back, eat your snacks, watch technology.
Oh, a question related to this topic, also for the Angular conference that you saw virtually. What was the quality of the speakers, especially their microphone?
I think the mic problem, like the speakers that spoke, they all seemed to have pretty good setups. They had good microphones. The problem that they had was that the live stream kept going down. And there's a joke you may have seen on Twitter if you follow any Angular people that about pizza breaking the stream. So one of the first talks on the first day, the speaker wanted to see what the latency was between what he was saying and the chat responding, which doing YouTube streams, there's always like a 20-second delay. It's awful.
Exactly.
So he said, so I want to check the delay. So I want everybody to type in chat pizza. And as soon as the chat, like having, the 1,200 people or so that were watching it all typing pizza at the same time, that for whatever reason broke the stream.
Oh my God.
And so we did find that, like, as they were going through, if something really exciting happened and people started talking all of a sudden in the chat, that it would break the stream and they'd have to like restart everything. And so other than that, I thought the video quality and microphone quality was fine, but for whatever reason, the chat was breaking the stream service.
Yeah, that's one of the main things that I have against this virtual conference, especially when they're open to everyone for like writing chats. I kind of prefer when, for example, Apple does the live stream of the event. You just watch it, it's there, and it works. You're not interacting because you're just watching there. But yeah, I guess if it's a conference, you need to have a Q&A session, which is kind of important, especially if you're paying. But yeah, it's That always concerns me. It's already kind of tiring and challenging to keep your attention span always up to 100% when attending these online conferences. And if the audio and video quality is not great and the streams ends abruptly and then they start it again, it gets very tiring and challenging.
It does, yeah. And there were a couple times where the speakers didn't know that the stream was out.
Fuck.
And they let them continue, and they said that like, oh, the video recording still worked, but the stream didn't. So if you want to watch it, you'll have to watch it later. But then the speakers that it happened to wouldn't have any questions because nobody knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, it's kind of, that sounds bad. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, because everyone is going to do these conferences online, we will figure it out. We'll figure a better, I don't know, technology, a better workflow to handle this. It's going to get better. We'll see. My recommendation, because I'm trying to not stay at the computer all the time, even for personal things, I started reading a massive book, which is, it's an absolute unit. It's like 1,300 pages. It's called The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. It's kind of an old book. It's not very recent, but it's fantasy at its peak, and it's beautiful. I'm not gonna talk about anything here. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's a first of a quadrilogy. Do you call it quadrilogy or?
I guess you could call that.
Yeah, because when it's 5, it's a pentalogy. I don't know. Oh, Latin, beautiful Latin. But yeah, it's the first of 4 books, and they're all massive books. So if you have no idea how to spend your time, just grab one of the book, and it's gonna take you a month to read it if you read it every day. But it's beautiful. It's very, very well written. It flows. I was expecting, because it's such a massive book, I was expecting to be heavy and hard to follow. Instead, it flows naturally. It's very, very good. Highly recommend.
It's been a while since I've read something that was not technical, so
yeah,
I will put it on my list to try to get some time to do something that's, just for fun and not trying to learn something.
Yeah, man, you gotta diversify your craft. Otherwise, you're gonna get stuck at the same things. Yeah, no, it's called the pandemic brain, when you don't understand anymore what you're doing and everything blends together into one single thing. All right, we are at the end of our beautiful episode. Hopefully, we're not gonna wait another year to do another one. This was episode 44, by the way. At the end of this video, where can people find you, Chris?
You can find me at Twitter at Chris J. Perko. You can find me on YouTube, even though I haven't posted in like a year.
That happens.
And you can check my blog that I also haven't written in almost a year at chrisperko.net.
And you can find me on Twitter as well, at Alecad, or you can find me on YouTube. If you're watching or listening these podcast episodes, you probably already know where to find us. So it's fine. As usual, until the next video, next tutorial, whatever, happy coding, happy designing, just be happy and try to relax, because we need a little bit of relaxing time. Thank you so much, guys, and we talk to you in the next one.
No, thank you. Happy 2020.
Beautiful year so far.